Okay, so I'm socially impaired, and recently Ted Cruz went into a restaurant with his wife and were yelled at to such an extent that they just couldn't stay there and maintain the peace, so they ended up leaving because of it. Now, before I really get into this, I think it's important for you to know how I feel about Ted Cruz. I do not like this man. Now, the Young Turks, specifically Cenk Uygur and Anna Kasparian, there is a third person there, but he does not seem to be offering that much throughout the video, so I will not really be addressing the things that he has to say, because what he has to say is more equivalent to jokes as opposed to political commentary. So yes, I have an opinion on the story, but I also have an opinion on how the Young Turks responds to this story. So let's see the video.
We believe survivors! We believe survivors! We believe survivors! We believe survivors! We believe survivors!
Beto is way hotter than you do.
We believe survivors! We believe survivors!
God bless
We
you.
believe survivors!
God bless you.
Excuse me. Let my wife through.
We believe survivors.
For God,
We believe survivors! 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 We believe survivors!
Sexist, racist, anti-gay.
We believe survivors! We believe survivors!
Okay, so Ted Cruz was trying to have a peaceful and quiet dinner with his wife in his private life. He was not on the job. He was not promoting any policy or anything to that nature. He was simply trying to live his life in his private life. So let's see how the Young Turks react to this.
He forgot to validate.
And by the way, now he protects his wife,
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, right.
right? And when Trump's attacking her, he bowed his head. So we might have a debate on our hands on this issue because I don't think we agree necessarily. But just so you know, he did try to stay at the restaurant in the beginning when they were just asking him questions. But when the chanting began, that's when he started to run for the hills, which is his trademark.
Let me just get that straight. So people were coming up to him and asking him questions, and he was answering them at a restaurant in his private life. And once they stopped actually having a real conversation with him and just started chanting, basically yelling at him, only then did he get up and leave. So he was actually having a conversation with these people, and they were going back and forth, and then they stopped doing that and just started chanting and yelling, and then he left? Okay, good. Well, you know, it's good to see what works and what doesn't.
So just in case, you know, it was difficult to understand what they were chanting and what this whole protest was about, it started with one of the protesters asking, from what I gather politely, how he plans on voting in the whole Brett Kavanaugh confirmation. And then they started chanting, "We believe the survivors," as you can hear in that video.
Wait a minute. I'm sorry. You said they were protesters? Protesters. What do you think a protester is? So, am I allowed to just go out and harass any person on a whim? And if anyone calls me out, I'll just say that I'm protesting, and then it's okay? And it doesn't count as harassment?
And so, yeah, look, some people are uncomfortable with it because they believe that this is another example of Americans being uncivil and that we should be polite to one another. But here's the thing, I would buy that argument if it weren't so one-sided, because we're dealing with lawmakers and specifically a president who go out of their way to be uncivil toward the voters, toward the American people. They do it through policy, they do it through rhetoric.
They're not going into the private lives of someone else to harass them. See, that's why they're not comparable. I mean, members of Congress and the American people can talk mad shit about groups of people. That is not the same thing as going to someone's personal private life in order to harass them.
And so the only part of this that makes me uncomfortable is he's with his wife. You know, she's not a politician, and it makes me uncomfortable to see her harassed. If he were alone, it would be perfect, and I'd have no problem with it whatsoever.
Okay, there you go. Anna Kasparian just admitted without directly saying that this is harassment. Here, let me go back a little bit.
It makes me uncomfortable to see her harassed, If he were alone, it would be perfect and I'd have no problem with it whatsoever.
It would make me uncomfortable to see her harassed, implying that it's harassment either way. She's just okay with it when it's Ted Cruz. If it's Ted Cruz being harassed, well, that's fine. If it's his wife being harassed, oh, well, that's kind of an issue, that's fucked up. So she admits without directly saying that, yes, this is harassment. Now, if she had some balls, she'd just come out and be like, yeah, this is harassment towards Ted Cruz, but I'm okay with it for reason A, B, and C.
If he were alone, it would be perfect and I'd have no problem with it whatsoever.
In order to prevent yourself from creating a double standard, you also have to be okay with people harassing the politicians that you support in their private lives. And look, if you're really okay with people like Bernie Sanders and Cortez being harassed in their private lives, and you say, hey, I disagree with the message, but I support the principle of the matter, and I'm okay with them doing that, okay, then there's no double standard. Then just say that. Say that you support the principle across the board.
I mean, what kind of country do we live in when the Zodiac Killer can't just have a peaceful dinner?
You see what I mean? Like, this dude he's not here to offer any real constructive anything. He's just here to make jokes. Why? Why is he here then? I mean, Cenk Uygur and Anna Kasparian are a joke in and of themselves. So we don't really need a third wheel, okay?
And so this is the voters getting frustrated and saying, well, damn it, if you're not going to listen to my votes, so you're at least going to listen to my voice.
There is a difference between expressing your views to Congress and harassing someone in their private life. I should not have to say this because it should be a given.
But I am worried that it's going to get out of hand. And so I think that if we start, especially with family, but even in non-family, I mean, so we're doing it to Republicans, they're going to do it to Democrats, and we're okay with it now because Ted Cruz is the Zodiac Killer and he's one of the worst guys. Even a conservative columnist today recently wrote a column saying he's like a serpent covered in Vaseline. Right? And yeah, it's him, that's Ted Cruz. But be careful, if you say it's okay to do it to Ted Cruz, how are you going to feel if they do it to Elizabeth Warren?
I mean, you're encouraging them to do it. You're saying, hey, we're going to do it to your guys, so you want an even playing field or not? That's basically what you're saying to the right. Hey, we're going to do it to your guys. We're going to fucking do it to your guys. So if we get to a point where there's a bunch of people on the right who go and harass Bernie Sanders and Elizabeth Warren and Cortez in their personal private lives when they're at a restaurant or when they're at home or shopping or whatever it is, you cannot be against it. It doesn't matter what their message is. On principle, you cannot be against it. Otherwise, it's a double standard. See, I'm against it across the board. So I have nothing to worry about. I'm going to get pissed off if they do it to Bernie Sanders, and I'm going to get pissed off if they do it to Ted Cruz. So I'm good. I don't have to worry about a double standard whatsoever. Because on principle, I'm against harassing people in their private lives. Apparently, that's a big fucking question over at TYT. I mean, we know where Anna Kasparian stands, but Cenk Uygur seems to be more up in the air about that. I don't think this is much of a question at all. So I don't know what the big fucking problem is. Just say, hey, we have a voice. We should use that voice to fight for things that we support, and we should go through Congress to make it happen. And if it looks like our voices aren't being heard, then maybe we need to take it up a notch when it comes to protesting Congress, not individuals in their private lives, because that is not a protest. That is just harassment. Or as Anna Kasparian would put it,
it makes me uncomfortable to see her harassed.
So look, we're going to ask you guys, tyt.com/poll, should activists yell at political figures in restaurants?
So the answer is obviously no, they shouldn't. Duh. Like, what the fuck? Why would anyone ever need to say that out loud ever? Is it not just a given? No, you should not harass people in their private lives, obviously. Hey, why not harass their kids too? Why not? Might change their mind, right? No, it won't. And it's not good, it's not right, and you shouldn't do it. I mean, whose fucking mind are you changing? Ted Cruz? No. He's just gonna double down now. He's gonna be like, those fucking assholes could even give me my own personal private time with my wife. Apparently that's not allowed. So he's just going to double down. So who are you trying to convince? A bunch of people already on the left who already agree with you? Well, that doesn't matter because they already agree with you. So who are you trying to convince? The middle and the right? Oh, okay, well, they'll just look at this and be like, harassing people in their private lives, that's fucked up. Maybe we should do it to their political opponents. Or at the very least, they'll just look at this and be like, yeah, that's fucked up, you shouldn't do that. And they're going to look at you negatively, as they should.
And so obviously you'll have yes and no as the options there. Again, I'm super curious.
I also was very curious to know what the polling was on this at TYT, and every time I went to tyt.com/polls, I got this. Now, I tried to just search through their website to try and find it. I could not. Maybe that's my fault. I'm sorry. I really did want to know the poll on this, but like I said, every time I typed it in, I got this. Nor did they include a link to the poll in the description, so I can't find it. I'm sorry.
But in this case, I'm still too uncomfortable with it. You want to ask him questions, like the questions they asked on his way in. Are you supporting Kavanaugh? You're a citizen. You can ask anybody any questions.
Right.
I think once they sit down, surrounding them, and chanting, I don't know. It makes me uncomfortable.
No. I think the way that they handled it was fine. Again, I wish his wife wasn't there, but come on. I'm so tired of being held at a different standard. We're always held at a different standard, okay?
Can I harass someone all I want, and then the second someone calls me out, I can just say it's a protest? Because what's different between what happened with Ted and what I just described? Different setting, sure, whatever, but the principle is the same, is it not? Now, if I'm wrong about this, I would like to know. So, viewers, anyone who happens to be watching this video and has made it this far, if you firmly disagree with what I'm saying, please do so in the comment section. Okay, I guess that's it. That's all I had to say. Those are my views on the matter. My views can always change depending on the information that comes my way. So, like I said, you got some real information, hand it fucking over in the comment section and I will take it seriously. Alright, well, I'm done.
How we explain that when someone is cool or acts like a bully, you don't stoop to their level. You know, our motto is, when they go low, we go high.